YouTube, how's it going? For the third year in a row now, we're going to be releasing all of our graphic settings as well as all of my keybinds that I use in Modern Warfare 3, and we're just going to jump straight into this. Obviously, Modern Warfare 3 is a brand new game, so you will have to do the very first thing first, which is download the latest drivers. Even with this 4090, I'm still crashing until I downloaded this most recent driver. For Nvidia, this is 546.01. You always want to do the custom installation because you want to perform what's called a clean install, which will wipe all of the previous drivers off, and it just reduces all of your bloat. Once you do that, obviously mine has a check mark here because I already have it. Once you do that, and that's all good, restart your PC and just make sure everything's all good to go. Now, after you've done all that, you can finally go into your settings tab here. We're gonna go straight into graphics first. If you want the most frames possible, you should be full screen exclusive. However, because I stream and because I have a monitor over here for Discord, I obviously am going to be playing in full screen borderless. Also, I don't really have too many issues with frames, given that this is just multiplayer. If this was Warzone, it would probably be a little bit different, but if you guys are having issues with frames, you can probably turn that to exclusive. Your display monitor, make sure that's set up correctly, and your display adapter, make sure that this is set to your GPU. Your screen refresh rate, you can change this if you want. I have mine just locked at 144, and your aspect ratio, obviously automatic. Also, if you're having issues with frames, sometimes restarting your shaders will help. They've done a pretty good job with it these years. The shaders kind of load pretty quickly, and they do a good job with it. Display gamma, I have mine at 2.2. Brightness, you set this up at the very beginning, but you can also change this if you'd like. And I will show you all of my custom brightness and tuning and monitor settings to make my game look really, really good towards the very end. So make sure you stick around and wait for that, because that's going to be super important to get the game looking really, really good. Constrain mouse to game window, that's off. That's so that if I want to, I can go to my other monitor if I want to. Nvidia reflex, low latency, I would just have this on. You can have it on plus boost, but sometimes that kind of messes with stuff. I haven't really noticed too much of a difference between off and on, but if you have a lower end GPU, I think this is going to be better to leave on. Eco mode preset, this is like for energy stuff. Yeah, I don't know, honestly. VSync off for both. Custom frame rate limit, I have my gameplay set to 144 max in game, and menu is 60, and out of focus, like if I go to the other monitor, then it goes set to 30. Focused mode, I have this one set to 90. This is if you have, I think, a super ultra wide monitor. So this one doesn't really apply to me because I have a standard aspect ratio. HDR, I have mine set to auto. That's just if you have an HDR monitor. Now let's go over to quality. Graphic preset, this one will change automatically. Like if you have all this stuff right here, I would honestly just not even mess with this. Just make sure that you are able to change everything else here. Render resolution, I have mine set to 3840 by 2160, which is 4K. So that's set to 100, which means it's not getting changed. Do not set this above 100, then your frames will go bye-bye. So make sure that this is just kept to 100. Dynamic resolution, I have this one turned off. Upscaling, sharpening, I've tried all of these. I've been rocking with Fidelity FX Cast now for quite a long time, over a year. Use this, set it to 100, leave it. This is one of the biggest changes that you can have for your game to make it look really, really good. So make sure you do this one first. VRAM scale target, this is how much of your GPU utilization you will allocate, if you will, or set. Basically, that's a fancy term for saying, should I use most of my GPU? And the answer is yes, you want to use most of your GPU, because that is the most efficient way to play a video game, is have your GPU do a lot of the, graphical computational stuff. Variable rate shading, I have that off, obviously. Texture resolution, this is the only thing I have on high. That's just to make textures look good. Obviously, if you have a lower card, you can have it on normal. Normal's more than acceptable, more than okay. I have mine set to high because we upload to YouTube and we upload in 4K, and I want people to be able to watch this on their TV and go, wow, okay, this looks really cool. Everything else pretty much lower off except for these two. Bullet impacts, I like to see where my bullets are going, and persistent effects. This is like if you throw a grenade and it goes boom, and then you see all the stuff, the splash from it. Yeah, everything else you can pretty much just have low, very low, off, literally everything, minimum. Like just set it to the lowest possible. I have a 4090. I will still set this all to the very lowest. Not because it makes the game look worse, or not because I want to get the nth degree possible frames. It's just that sometimes in gunfights, especially for a brand new game, you're going to get frame rate drops if you have some of these set to medium or high. You're just going to be in a gunfight, and then your game will kind of hitch or stutter. Because of that, I have everything set to lower off. I would highly recommend to try this. But obviously with your system, sometimes, you know, you may be able to experiment with a little bit. Go ahead and play with it. But if you don't want to play with it, you want to set it and forget it, just do this. This whole video would not have been made possible without the help of my good friends over at Zyex. We've been working with these guys for well over half a decade now. Let me just kind of walk you guys through that. Just make sure you guys click on that link in the description, or, you know, just go to zyex.com/thinned. That is the link. Also use code thinned. Or you can use any of their other codes, but just make sure you go to zyex.com/thinned, please, before you use anything. This is what I've been using. I've been using Zyex PCs pretty much since the start of my career. They are the best when it comes to building a system that is guaranteed for life. That's right, lifetime warranty. It's just insane. Depending on your budget, I know that these are a little bit more expensive than what most people think for a gaming PC, or maybe what you've seen. But the reason for that is very specific. They pay their employees a living wage here in the USA, and they are able to warranty their stuff for life because they build their PC. It takes them, you know, maybe an hour or so, but they bench their PCs, however, for over 15 hours to make sure that all components are in spec and in working order, and that whatever gets delivered to you is going to be amazing. If you guys have a budget of around 2, I would probably stick with the gamer. If you guys have a budget of around 3, obviously the comp system, this is going to be like the best bang for your buck. This is kind of what I'm using right now is the baller system. This got a 4090 and this actually is better than my current system because mine has a previous gen Intel processor. I set these builds up myself. I've tested a lot of things, and this is what I think is probably going to be the best within their perspective price range. They're doing some crazy sales for the holidays, guys. So make sure to check that out. I really appreciate Zyex for helping out with the channel, all my videos, and I just wanted to give them a quick shout out. Look, they don't just work with me, like they work with the best. Check them out. Now let's go over to view. Obviously, field of view, you want this set up to max. If you have a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, you will also be able to set this to max. This is super important. ADS field of view, you want this set to affected. You do not want it independent. If it's independent, then you zoom in too far and it's too hard to track. Affected is going to be the best. Weapon field of view, always have this set to wide. Wide means that you see a little bit more around you, which means your rifle isn't as big in your face. You don't want your rifle or your shotty or whatever too big in your face, because then you can't see everything around it. Third person field of view, I have this set to the most, which is 90. I don't play in third person. I just don't like it. Vehicle field of view, obviously wide. Motion blur, get this garbage off. We're not in a movie. Look, in campaign, fine, acceptable. Weapon motion blur, campaign, acceptable. But if you're playing and you are against really sweaty people, you definitely want these off. Film grain, I have this set to 0. Why? Because I just don't like that look. I would much rather have sharpening set myself. Obviously, I'll show that to you guys in just a second. And all these are going to be least. You don't want this, otherwise it just does way too much on your vision. Third person ADS transition, that'll put it into first person perspective. Spectator camera, game perspective. Helmet camera looks kind of weird. I know it's kind of like they're going for that realism. Game perspective is just better. Inverted flashbang, this is so you can have a dark screen when you get flashed instead of a bright screen. This is really helpful if you're playing in the dark. So if you play in the dark and you don't want to wake up things next to you, this wouldn't probably be fine with on. It's kind of a meme to have it on white, so I just leave it on white because it just looks funny. So all right, so that's for all of the graphics. Now let me just kind of go to the audio really quick. Quite a few people have been asking about my audio setup. Basically, if you scroll down, you can kind of see all that stuff in the description, but essentially I run it on headphones. This is default, and your speaker output is set to stereo. For this, I fiddle with these all the time, so these are not set in stone, but this is kind of where I have it at right now. This is multiplayer. For Warzone, we can you know, make this different. Microphone, push to talk, default system device. Obviously this is all very, very basic stuff. So, but that's just what mine looks like. Subtitles, campaign is on. Multiplayer and zombies, I have it off. You can have it on if you like, if you have other people watching, but that's basically it. Mono audio, you don't want that on unless I do have a friend who is hard of hearing in one of his ears, so he actually has this one set. He has one of his ears, he can hear more. So this is actually really important for some people. It is there, and if you need to change that. Reduce tinnitus sound, that's going to be that ringing in the ears. So that's like if you get flashed or concussed or whatever. It doesn't bother me, but for some people it does bother them, and that is a real thing. So if you are like, dude, this is just too much, then just turn this on, and then you'll have a lot less of that ringing sound, and it might make your gameplay experience that much better. Board tracks, I'm going to turn this off because usually they have a DMCA music. Juggernaut music's always cool. I have that on. Hit marker sounds is classic. You can change this to Modern Warfare or none. Mute game when minimized. That's if you're doing other stuff like taking a meeting and playing your game. So yeah, I know. I've seen it. This is a nice little sneaky one if you want to take that zoom and, you know, get some camos in, or, you know, get some attachments in. Yeah. All right, cool. That one's that. So that was audio. We did graphics, audio. Let's go to interface really quick. Color customization. Yes. So this stuff, you can change this if you like. You can make you blue. There you go. So there, squad member colors, you can do color filter. This really just depends on what you like. I would play around with this. Previously, this was super important, but now with my custom settings, it's not as important. So I just don't really do this. But if you're on console, this is going to be how you change all of your color stuff. This is probably one of your most important settings, obviously, along with making sure your FOV set to 120. So yeah, give that a try. Make sure your mini map is set to square. I think that is default now. It used to be circle. You don't get to see as much. Square, you get to see a little bit more. Mini map rotation, I have that on. Horizontal compass, that one's on. Crosshairs, I have this on so I can hip fire a little bit easier. Sometimes it doesn't really matter, but I think at least for me it matters. The center dot, sometimes this is super helpful if you're trying to quick scope, or if you have trouble with any type of motion, or if you have trouble acquiring your target properly. Turn your center dot on. This is like a huge life hack. I don't have it on just because I just don't, but for a lot of people, I know quite a few people who have this turned on, and it works very well for them. So give it a try. And this one might be one of those other, you know, cool little hacks, if you will. Hit marker visuals. It gives you that visual confirmation that you've actually struck your target. So that's good. Damage based hit markers. That's like a different, yeah, if you use a kill streak versus a grenade versus whatever, it doesn't matter as much, but yeah, whatever. Player names, you can have this on player name on or off. I think this is cool, but if you're getting, you know, a whole bunch of like toxic people, then you can turn this off. In-game text chat, I have this off because people are really toxic, so that's just bad. Vehicle HUD prompts, this is like, hey, this is how you control your vehicle. Telemetry, this is how you can see how much FPS and your server latency and stuff. I have this stuff kind of turned on for the first 4, I guess. The rest of it doesn't really matter. I have my own. This is MSI Afterburner along with Riva Tuner Statistics server. It's part of MSI Afterburner. This is official MSI stuff. This is not like some cheatware. This is actual, you know, real quality stuff. This is what, you know, overclockers use all the time. I don't overclock my system. I like to have this visual confirmation of what my stuff looks like. It's nice. It's small. It's tiny. It's tucked in the corner. It doesn't bother me. I mainly just use the FPS, but this is also good if you want to make sure you're not going too high in temperature, especially during the summer. So that one's super helpful. All this stuff, hardware in-game, this is like if you have packet burst, this is really good. Same with network. I have these two on. The rest of the stuff that you don't really need. Menu, gameplay tips. You can have this on or off. This is just like whatever. I have skip introduction movie because this is just annoying. Tool tips. Yeah, whatever. Cool. Now let's go to the keyboard and mouse. I'll kind of scroll and kind of show you guys. I haven't really changed this stuff from previous years. DPI is 1600 inside Logitech. I don't run any sort of crazy macros because people get freaked out whenever you say the word macro, because most people don't really understand what that means. But anyway, yeah, so it's very simple, very standard stuff. I will say though, on my mouse, I am rocking there we go, Super Glides, and they're like 25 bucks. They're very expensive, but they're worth every penny. I'm using a Logitech G Pro X Superlight. You guys can see there's a lot of grease and stuff on here. This is normal. If your mouse doesn't look like this, then you barely play video games, or you're just, you know, faking it. I'm just kidding. So mouse sensitivity, I have it 1.98. Now with the Super Glides, I might turn this down to 1.95. This is highly subjective, but I am always of the, I guess you could say, the school of thought that 1600 DPI is really good, and having super low in-game sense is really good. Also have a big enough mouse pad. If you guys want my mouse pad, you can also pick that up in the link down below. It's 18 by 36, and 18 inches is that vertical. You need that for, especially for your vertical sweep. That's for when you're like looking up and down, or if someone jumps from up high down low, then you can do what's called an inward sweep, and that's sweep your mouse inward. So that's super important. You know, these are all of my sensitivity, everything. Your ADS sensitivity multiplier, I have this set to 1 as well because I don't want it changed. Some people have it changed. I don't. ADS sensitivity type is relative. Your monitor distance coefficient, this is actually super important. I think for 4K monitors, this is what you're supposed to have it as, like 1.77 and 1.78. This will change your sensitivity. So if you're on 1440p, I think this is also a same number. But if you're on 1080p, I think it needs to be set to something else. I would look up a video on this. Mine set to 1.78. I don't have any of this stuff all messed around with. This is all just very standard. Use system mouse cursor, that's off. That's if you wanted to, yeah, you see how it changed that from so now it's a hand. and now it's a pointer. The hand is Microsoft and the pointer is Call of Duty. Keybinds, all my stuff's custom. I have not changed this for 3 years. So if you've watched any of my previous keybind videos, then this is all gonna look very familiar. I'm just gonna kind of scroll through this. I don't walk anymore. I just auto tack sprint. Some people, they like to sneak around. I just crouch. So I walk as unbound. So that's this one. Now we're gonna move down past crouch / slide. Now before we scroll down any further, so weapon mount was the bottom, we'll go to movement advanced. We'll click on these. I don't have these bound because I have mine set to auto tack sprint, which is set to forward. And then we will move down to last stand give up. And that's all this tab. And then we'll go back. My weapon mount is my forward mouse button. The melee is my back weapon, my back mouse button. That's all I really use it for, is weapon mounting or melee. The more you use your mouse buttons, the more tension you put on your mouse, which affects your aim. You obviously don't need to aim when you're meleeing. And when you weapon mount, it's a toggle, which means that you mount it and then you don't touch it anymore. So then you don't need to affect your mouse aim. Okay, now we're at lethal equipment. So now we'll go down to lethal equipment. Okay, now we'll go to combat advanced keybinds and scoreboard. So combat advanced keybinds will go here. There's obviously not too much here. That's it. We'll go to vehicle advanced. This one doesn't matter. This is just like for how you do your vehicle. It changed for me. I think this is all just default. So I wouldn't mess around too much with that. Okay, we were at vehicle advanced keybinds. Scoreboard I have set to tab. That's super important because you always have to make sure that you are out fragging your friends. I'm just kidding. So it's tab for multiplayer and then this button for BR. So it's kind of weird that they delineate that, but whatever. Backpack is tab. My map I have set to M, so because I kept pressing scoreboard and map at the same time and it was messing it up. So I have to really reach over with my thumb to hit the map, but I'm used to it now. Ping I have set to E. That's kind of one of the weird ones. And then if I double tap E, then it does enemy keybind. So yeah. All this other stuff it's not really anything. These are menu. Yeah, none of this stuff matters. So that's all my keybinds. Go to gameplay. Crouch I have set to toggle. Prone is go to. Automatic tack sprint. This is super, super important. All of you people that are just walking around and you wonder why someone jump, slide, cancel, slide tackles you around a corner. It's probably because you're not moving fast enough. So move. The best way to move is automatic tack sprint. And I have mine set to single tap, so you don't have to hold it. You just tap it and you're going. You don't want carpal tunnel. Closed backpack on sprint. This is really helpful. That's good. Grounded mantle I have on. Some of this stuff, if you guys are like super movement demons, you can mess with this. I don't really do that. I just play. So that's grounded mantle. We'll go back to grounded mantle. There we go. Slide dive is independent. All this stuff. I will click on this in just a second. Aim down sight. I have this set to hold. You can have it set to toggle, but I think toggle isn't as quick, especially since Call of Duty is so quick. I would have this just, set to hold. We'll go to movement advanced. Yeah, this is all just standard. Okay, so we were at movement advanced settings. Yeah, weapon mount is set to toggle. Yep. Depleted ammo weapon switch. That means if your primary is out of ammo, it'll switch to your secondary. This can be useful. So attack stance. This is kind of new for Modern Warfare 3. That's how you turn your rifle to the side. So it's like a pseudo hip fire. It's not really hip fire. It's not really ADS. It's just kind of like pointing it in their general direction. It's okay. I mean, it's kind of cool, but that's about it. Armor plate behavior, make sure this is set to apply all. This should be default, apply all. C4 detonation. This is like if you want to do one or multiple. I don't really use C4. It's not as important in this game mode. Combat advanced settings, we'll click on this now. Sprint cancels reload. This is so you can get away instead of reloading. This is really important because sometimes you just need to get away. Make sure that one's set to on. Other than that, this is all like whatever. Okay, we were at combat advanced, so we'll scroll back down. Danger ping is double tap. This is like your any like specific type stuff. And yeah, that's all my settings. This is the juice, the sauce, the Nvidia control panel settings. This is what makes the game look insanely good. Obviously you can change even more stuff here, but I just don't mess with it too much because I play 3 games. I play this game, Fortnite, Tarkov, so I try to make it available for all games so I don't have to keep messing with these. So this is what works for all. Brightness is 5.7, contrast 80, gamma 1.3, digital vibrance 100. If the map is too dark, I'll change this to 1.8. I'll just kind of click like right there. There we go, 1.8. So that's like a really, really good setting if the map is too dark. Otherwise I just have it set permanently to 1.3, but that's how the game looks really good. Obviously, play around with this. Your monitor is going to be different from my monitor. I've done this now with 2 monitors though, and this works really well, and hundreds of thousands of people have used these settings. I would give this a try. This is probably, besides all the other stuff that I talked about that was super important, this is also one of the most important things. That's pretty much it. If you guys have any sort of questions, feel free to leave it down below. If you guys like to watch me play some video games, I stream on twitch.tv/thin, as well as YouTube, right here on this channel, youtube.com/thin. This is it's like, I guess, one of our once a year kind of traditions is to do all the settings for you guys. Nothing really has changed too much, so if you guys were using previous year's stuff, you're pretty much good to go. If you guys have any other stuff that you guys would like to watch, obviously we have some gameplay. Just click on that, it's going to be there, or YouTube will recommend it. Otherwise, I will see you in the stream, see you in the lobbies, and really appreciate you guys for sticking around all the way to the end and watching. See ya.